some good clips. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're willing to share.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to get started. Okay, hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Social Exchange Project. This is your host, Shangler Waldinger. And before I introduce my amazing panel that I have with me today, I hope everyone is staying safe at home. We are obviously filming through Zoom today instead of our regular studio because we are trying to stay safe at home as well. So today is an incredible day. I think for anyone who knows me, and obviously my husband, last year Garrett decided that he wanted to walk the entire Appalachian Trail. And for those of you who do not know what that consists of, that's 14 states and essentially 2,200 miles. So when I started this podcast, I wanted to really be able to feature my husband, and we've been trying to do this for a while, I think, but here we are. So I'm glad we're doing it through Zoom because we are able to open it up to our other friends from across the country. So before I kind of just dive in and introduce everybody else, I'm just gonna have my husband say hello. And do you want to just say your name for those who are listening, and then also your trail name?
I'm Zipper. That's my trail name. Or Garrett. Garrett's my real name. But my trail name was just as real as my real name on the trail.
I know. People still call you Zipper. You still answer to that.
It's hard not to.
And then we'll go to Rob, and then we'll kind of just go down the line. Hello, Rob. Want to say hi?
Hi, my name's Rob. Trail name Cowboy Up. That's it.
Okay. And then Nate.
Hi, I'm Nate, and my trail name was Turd Ferguson. So everybody just really called me Turd for short.
Was this on the trail or in real life? Just kidding.
Go ahead.
And then our most amazing guest who combed her hair today, Molly.
I'm Molly. My trail name is Sharktooth.
So you guys, I'm just gonna ask you, Molly, how do you get a trail name, and what is that essentially?
So a trail name is just so there's so many people that hike the trail, and so you're gonna meet like 70 Bobs and 40 Kyles and stuff like that. So everybody has a trail name, so it's a little bit easier to kind of remember, talk about people, all that kind of stuff. You usually get named by somebody. I do know a few people who named themselves, but it usually kind of has to do with like something that involved your hike. So like I wear a shark tooth pendant necklace with a shark tooth that I found and tell everybody about it. So I got named Sharktooth.
Do you know who named you?
So I actually got named in 2017 when I was hiking the Long Trail in Vermont by an AT thru hiker who named me. His name is Sandman.
Okay. And then Nate, how did you get your name?
Your
name's definitely the best name.
I was hiking on the AT. I was doing a short section in Georgia into North Carolina, and I met a bunch of guys that were previous thru-hikers from like 2003, and we started hiking together. And I was doing the skit of Celebrity Jeopardy. And so I was kind of messing around doing the whole Turd Ferguson bit with Norm Macdonald. And so those guys just kind of put it to a vote, and that's what it was. So I got Turd Ferguson.
There you go. And Rob, I think your story, I've heard it, but I think it would only be best if you tell it. How did you get your name?
Well, I'm going to make it a long story short, but I attempted the trail. Attempted a thru hike in the month of June, and I had a cowboy hat, I had work boots on, I had an oak tree that I had cleared out of my yard in Georgia, and I put a butcher knife on the end because I didn't know if there was going to be bears attacking me, wildcats. I just didn't do any research. I don't go, I don't get on the internet that much, and when I do, it's usually for music. But there's a lot of things they can teach on YouTube videos about the trail. But when I made my first attempt on that trail, I didn't watch any YouTube videos. And all I had was this image in my mind. I'm going to be in the middle of the wilderness around all these bears and wildcats. And that's all I could think about. I was like, this could be an amazing adventure. So I went out there, and I had a 1970s Army backpack. And I ran across this old man. His name was Soren Eagle. He was a retired Air Force colonel. And he looked at me. He goes, how far are you hiking? I go, I'm going to Katahdin. This is in June when I started. I go, I'm going to Katahdin. He's like, you're going to go with all that gear, huh? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, man, he said, anybody can carry gear like that and walk all the way to time. He said, you got a cowboy up, you know. He said, so now on, your name's Cowboy Up. Well, I didn't even make it to Neil's Gap on my first attempt. I was so scabbed up, skin was raw. I mean, I found out what that glide stuff was, you know, and that was a lifesaver. But I was so chapped up, so busted up that I wound up giving up. And I went home after I gave up, and I felt so like I thought I was more of a man than that, you know, like I couldn't believe I gave up that soon. So I did a bunch of research. I watched Ibitat, a lot of his hiking videos, Liz Kidder, Evans backpacking. I watched all these videos, and I got to know all the gear real good. So I started purchasing my gear. That following year, I went down the trail, and I did the approach again, you know, because I wanted to do the entire thing. I want to be a total thru hiker from the approach trail on whatever. So, make a long story short, I got to the top of Springer Mountain, and in the book, I just said, Cowboy Up, round 2. So I was going to give my second attempt, and I was not going to give up. And long story short, I made it. So I just had the right
and then you summed it.
Yeah. So.
That's amazing.
And Springer Mountain is the southern terminus of the trail. That's pretty much where you start.
Mm-hmm. I didn't do the approach trail.
You didn't?
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Where did
It's a blue blaze.
It is. That's true. That's true. It's not actually part of the AT.
Right.
I just had to do it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember what's the shuttle name? The shuttle guy, Ron.
Ron.
Haven.
Yeah,
Yes.
he gave me a piece of paper that told me a different route through like the Len foot hike in, something like that. So you don't have to go up all these elevation changes. It's kind of a more easier gradual climb.
Yeah.
So that's the approach I took. It wasn't really approach trail, but it was a different alternative to the approach trail. The
Yeah.
easier one.
I just
so
came-
nice too. Shout out to him. I mean,
Yes, thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
That's great.
I just went in the 1 mile north and went and backtracked south
Same.
and came back in.
Oh, right on. Yep.
I'd done that a couple times already, so I was familiar with it. So it just worked out good for me.
so how was and we'll start with you, Nate. How was your first day or week on the trail?
Well, I was still in the Army on my first week, so I was hiker number 12, and I started in January. I kind of snuck out away from the Army when I was before my medical appointments, and I did a week just to do a shakeout hike of some of my gear, some new gear that I had purchased, you know, because I've done a lot of hiking on the trail before. But so I went down there and I went up, and then I came out on Chunky Gal Trail and hiked it down to 64. But when I went down, it was during the government shutdown. So they weren't cleaning out blowdowns, and the trail was a mess. I'd have to hike up like the side of cliffs and come back down over the other side of trees that were down across the trail. And then, and there was ice. It was beautiful though. There was like maybe Wrong Way, I think, was the only other hiker that I seen out there when I was out there. It was great though.
So, and then I'm gonna add to this too, Nate. Why you said you were still in the Army during that time?
Yeah, I was just like, I was about a month away from my retirement date or from my leave date
Sure.
before I transitioned out. And I had like a 4-day weekend in there. So I went down and just hiked the trail. And then when I came back, I did all my VA appointments and then processed out of the Army after that. And then I got back on trail like March 18th, I think it was.
Sure.
And then, yeah, I got back on where I hopped off right there at Chunky Gal. And then, Chunky Gal. And then started hiking north from there on March 22nd.
I think a lot of people always ask and wonder, like, why would you want to do something like this? So it sounded like you were close to retirement, and were you kind of just like, I want to do this, it's like do or die now before I go back into like, you know, civilian life and just kind of, you know, live with my family and just go on with life? Or was there another reason?
Nah, for me, I'm one of the few that like actually had been on the trail like 7-8 years prior. I went out to like Asheville and did the Biltmore and what's that?
This wasn't your first rodeo then?
It was my first hiking. Like the AT was my first hiking, but I'd been out on the AT 3 times before doing sections before I did my through hike attempt. But I've been wanting to do it, and I've been planning it for several years.
Gotcha.
And I like how you said a through hike attempt, because that's kind of what it is at first until you get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Molly? Or Shark Tube? I'm just gonna call you guys by your AT name, your trail name, because I think that's just cooler. Might as well, right? What about you, Shark Tube? What was your why?
So my best friend hiked the AT in 2015. And so, like I mentioned before, I hiked the long trail in 2017 with her. And that was kind of like my first introduction into through hiking. And it completely ruined my life in the best way, where I just like realized that was like where I was happiest. And I've like dealt with a lot of like anxiety and depression my whole life. So just like, it's just like the best, nature's the best medicine. So after I finished the long trail, which is about like 273 miles, I was like, I need to do something again. So I just picked something that was 10 times as long.
Way to take away from Molly's story name. He currently has a doll, for those of you who aren't watching and can only hear this. Actually, before we get any further, Nate and Molly, so you guys actually hiked together, and then Cowboy Up and my husband hiked together. So I just wanted to mention that out there because he was kind of teasing her, I think, a little bit there. Rob, Cowboy, what was your reasoning for going on the trail?
Well, I was manager at Terminex, and one of the guys that worked under me, his name was Kevin Thurman, and he told me he did the thru hike when he was like 18 years old, and he did it. And he had the little AWOL book and stuff like that, and he gave me the AWOL book to look at, and he took me up to the Smoky Mountains. I lived in Tennessee at that time, and he took me up to the Smoky Mountains. He showed me a privy, and he showed me what a shelter was. And I was like, they have this all the way. He goes, yeah, all the way from Georgia to Maine. And I was like, man, I'm going to do this one day. That was when I was like 27. So since I've been 27, I've been wanting to get on the Appalachian Trail, and the way things were going in my life, that was the perfect timing when I did go, when I actually went on it, and I had a supportive girlfriend that helped pay me through it. So that was the reason why. It's something I just dreamed of since I was in my late 20s, and it got introduced to me by a friend of mine that said he did. I thought, what better way to like reboot yourself mentally, emotionally, and everything. Everybody talked about being a spiritual experience. And I was like, that many miles, 6 months in the woods, just sounded like a dream to me. So that's my story.
Yeah, and I would say that, when Garrett first told me he wanted to hike, it was years ago because we were living apart separately, or we were living apart for a few months. And
just work related.
Yeah, it was work related. I obviously got a job on the other side of, we lived in central Wisconsin, and then now we're in west central. But Garrett kind of just called me out one day and was like, I'm just going to hike the Appalachian Trail. And that was probably like 4 years ago.
But I didn't plan on doing the whole thing.
Yeah, and
Lasher right here.
Do you want to just kind of say like why you wanted to do it? You've always been.
I've always been liking the outdoors and stuff. And something like that just seemed like crazy. What a cool badge of honor that you can wear and be part of a small, group of people that has shared something like that. And when I got out there, my original thought was just to be out for a month or so. Like I thought I could come back and do a couple sections here and finish it in maybe 10 or some years, or maybe longer, who knows? Because some people take 20 years to finish a trail in sections. Some people go out there every year on their vacation and just do a little bit more.
Our plan was not for you to do the
not
whole
at all. Not
we
at
did
all.
not.
I was going to be gone for a month or two at the most. But as soon as I hit Franklin with a group of guys that I started hiking the trail with at first, I got the bug, I guess you could say, or whatever. It's like, how could I not try to go all the way now? It's like, it's all this it's a rush of emotion. And as you all well know, it's.
And you're away from me, so that was always a plus. But it wasn't our intention for him to hike the whole thing. It was only for a few months. And I think I was really nervous because we have never really spent any time apart except when we lived apart for the
But you couldn't have asked for a more supportive wife or spouse.
Oh, stop it. Regard. Keep going.
It didn't take much. Yeah. Hey, babe, this is what I've always wanted to do. She kind of cut me off like, yeah, I know you've always wanted to do that, and we'll make it work, blah, 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 blah. And
I wasn't like that, honestly, like at first, though. I was super supportive, but financially, I was having a lot of anxiety because Garrett made more money than me. And so I'm like, how am I going to afford where we're living right now and all these other things? But the more I thought about it and the more he would call me, because I spoke to him probably like every day, and the more that I would talk to him, he was just lit. Like his spirit was just, and he was just so happy out there. There was no way I could pull him from that. So we decided that we would keep going and keep chugging along, and look at where we're at. So, and actually that kind of brings me to like my next question. How did your families take this, that when you announced that you wanted to do the thru-hike? How did your family react? We'll start with you, Nate.
For me, my daughter, she probably had the hardest time with it, because
How old is your daughter?
well, she's 6 now, but we do like trail magic every year up at Grafton Notch, and she's went with me up to Maine, and we stay at my buddy's house. So she's like went up Bald Pate and some of those places up there, up on top of it, the cliffs right before Bald Pate. But it was, she loves it, and so when I went, she was mad because she couldn't go with me. So she came out to the Grayson Highlands, and she was able to come see the ponies with us, and that was pretty cool. But my wife is also in the Army, so for us, we're separated a lot because of deployments or whatever, and when I was still in. So it was just kind of like one of those things like, hey, I'm going to be gone for 5 months, and it wasn't really a big deal or a big adjustment for my family, which was nice.
Yeah. What about you, Sharktooth?
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh.
I know that I called my parents up and was just like, hey, I'm gonna hike the AT, and they're like, all right. And then a few months went by, and I was just like, all right, well, like I got a sublet for my apartment, and I quit my job, and I'm gonna drive to Georgia. And my parents were like, wait, you're really going? I was like, yeah, I'm really going. So my mom handed me mace, and she's like, don't hitchhike alone.
I do have to say, when I became friends with you guys, it was during the half point when I was visiting Garrett. And after that, I became friends with you guys on Facebook. And man, Sharktooth, your dad is so, shout out to your dad, but your dad was so proud and so supportive. Like all the posts that he kept, he was friends. I wasn't friends with, your dad on Facebook, but I would see him post just all of these incredible words of encouragement and just pride, and that is awesome.
Yeah, he is my biggest fan for sure.
Yeah, it's hard. I could only imagine it would be really hard to keep going if you didn't have just that support behind you. So
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, I was kind of lucky where like my dad had planned to hike the long trail when he first moved to Vermont back in like '96. And he just never got around to it. Like he bought a backpack and everything. So if anything, he was kind of like, you're living out my dream. So.
Oh, he was living vicariously through you, huh?
Yeah. So he was pretty psyched. All of my friends were just like, why are you doing that? But no one really was like discouraging to me personally.
They probably just didn't understand it as well.
Yeah. Some people still don't. They're like, why did you do that? How did you do that?
Even like we get it, like especially me, even for like I didn't hike at all, but people would always say like, why would you let him do that, or why would you guys do that? And so that's kind of
common theme.
Yeah,
it is pretty common, I'm sure.
I don't know
that's why we're doing this, right? To kind of provide more insight as to why people would do this. So
yeah, I don't know about you guys, but anytime I tell people I hike the AT, the first thing they ask is like the whole thing. I was like, the whole thing. That's always people's first question.
And Cowboy, why did you do this? Or I guess was your family supportive?
Yeah, so with my life, I just basically have a girlfriend. I did have a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend that supported me, and then my son. I'd raised him all of his life. I was a single dad, and he knew that I had failed that first time, and he knew I was going to give it a second go. So my son, of course, was supportive, and my girlfriend was supportive through the hike, and that was. So the two people that I had in my life that, I don't have a big, large family or anything like that. Those are the two people I have in my life.
Now you do.
Yeah, now I do. That's what the trail, look at the blessing that the trail brought. This is a guy I hiked with. And he moves me up to Wisconsin. I'm out of Georgia. So I'm going like completely across the country to a whole new world, But he brings me up here, and his family turns out to be my family. And that's something that the trail brought me a new start in life, So and that all came from the trail, So the trail keeps on blessing you, I feel like, mentally, emotionally, and every way. Long after you finished it, the blessings still come from it. Like there's certain things that would never happen unless you're on that trail. So anyways, I'm rambling on. Go ahead, guys.
And the biggest blessing, I think, is you get to witness me and Garrett bickering every day.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people always ask us too, like, how did you guys prepare or plan for this, both like, you know, in terms of financial, emotional, but also just like how, like physically, how did you plan your gear, food, you know, those types of things? Can you speak more to that, Shark Tooth? You said you quit your job.
I didn't plan at all. I had all of the stuff that I needed from hiking the long trail, which honestly, like I just bought everything duplicate, like what my friend had used to hike the AT. I just like bought everything she bought for the long trail. So I had all the gear, and I didn't even look at a guidebook until the night before I started. And
You
was
were
just like,
so
oh.
badass.
I should probably like figure out where I'm gonna sleep. So yeah, my friend drove me down to Georgia, and then like the night before, I was just like, okay, I'll go to like Hawk Shelter Mountain or Hawk Mountain Shelter, which is like the first shelter on the AT. And yeah, so yeah, I didn't really prepare at all, and it didn't even hit me that I was doing it until like 30 minutes before I got to Springer, and I just had like a mental breakdown in the car. I was like, oh my God, can I do this? Can I do this? Like, what am I about to do? Like, oh my God. And my friend was like, you got this. You got this.
Yeah.
Get out of the car.
Getting them cold feet.
Yeah. I was really nervous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't recommend like not planning, but I didn't plan anything and I made it. So
Yeah.
Works for me.
What about you, Turd? It's weird. I don't like calling you. I'm sure you're used to people calling you Turd, but I feel like I'm insulted. What about you, Turd?
It's good. No, we're good. Trust me, I promise.
I can't call him Nate. It feels weird to me.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, it is.
Circle back to the question. It was which one was this one?
How did you prep and prepare?
Oh yeah, I've been I've had like 3 different sets of packs. I got I've tried kayak or not kayak, the tents. I've done hammocks. I've tried all kinds of stuff, and so for me, it was just kind of like I just grabbed the lightest stuff that I could find, because the first time I hiked it, like my very first section, I think I was like close to 40 pounds, and it killed me by the time I got to Rock Gap. Not Rock Gap.
Well, give us some context, because it's 40 pounds heavy. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, well,
is that heavy?
So for me, like when I was in the Army, it was nothing to carry like 80, 90 pounds, whatever.
Oh.
But then when you're hiking for fun, it's a lot different. So 40 pounds was it was light, but it was miserable. And when I realized that I could get lighter stuff, and if I could get it down to 20, it's like I'm not even carrying anything on my back. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I tried to get as light as I could with all my equipment, and that's basically how I did it. Now,
I'm sure your military background kind of helped you prepare for that too, though.
No, it actually set me up for failure, because I thought I could like do 20-mile days for like 3 weeks straight, and I about broke myself off. I called my wife. I was like, "Hey, come pick me up at Georgia, because I can't walk. My legs are so physically beat up, I can't walk." So it's definitely different. So yeah, it was eye-opening for me. It was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, was how I felt the first time I did it, so that I was successful when I actually did go to do my thru hike.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What about you, Cowboy?
Great question.
Well, besides beer and a 10-gallon hat,
No, what was the question?
Well, obviously, I mean, how did you prepare? Because obviously the first time
how did I prepare? Yeah.
Not as well.
Yeah. So how did I prepare? It was after my failure on the first time. I started watching other thru-hikers on their vlogs, and I seen what kind of equipment, like especially Dixie. Dixie was a big influence on me. She told I learned about the thermarest, padding and stuff to lay on and stuff like that. So I prepped up, but I didn't know that I was going to be doing it that following year. You know what I'm saying? I was just buying equipment because I knew I was going to do it again. I just didn't know when. But it just so happened it was the very spring, right after I tried that summer, that following spring, that was my second go. So that's how I prepped for it. And financially, my girlfriend, she paid for my whole hike, and we budgeted it in a way to where she didn't give me cash. I didn't have a credit card or anything like that, but she did give me cash. She gave me like $100 in my resupply boxes. But I only had to go out and buy my food a few times. So when it comes to the financial prepping, my girlfriend had my back, and I guess that's where I'll end it, because I mean that's.
Yeah.
The
And I have to
question,
interject here and say it's the fattest resupply I've ever seen.
yeah,
Sometimes it took him and I both carrying his resupply.
yeah, we'd have to split it in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. And just to hit another point, he was talking about the pack being 40 to 45 pounds, and he got it lower. Well, I wish I could have got mine lower, because as low as I could get, and that was right after my resupply, and that's when Zipper would take a lot of it, like half of it. My pack would weigh out to be about 45 pounds, and it was hard.
Resupply.
It was hard, and that's I mean, like about 45 pounds with the 2 water bottles full with the resupply. My pack was definitely 45 pounds easy. 45 pounds.
Man. See, I
And then
never
after I
carried
ate-
water.
Shit.
Yeah,
I thought mine was heavy.
after I ate down my food, when I started getting, you're getting about 35, 32, man, I could book up those mountains, man, like no problem. Because I'd have to take it real slow after the fat resupply. It'd be so heavy,
And it
just
was
wore you
so
out.
weird
Anyways.
to see. Yeah, it was so weird to see someone that was just always going and going and going to be like, oh, just baby steps. That's that first or second day after that resupply. But you can see it gradually getting better because you're clearing out several pounds a day in food, probably, and it's.
Yeah, the first day or two after a resupply are the best days, because you don't put in many miles. You're worn out because you carried a heavy pack. Then you just lay in your tent and you feast. And you eat all the heavy stuff first, Yeah, the first day or two after the resupply, those are big eating days.
Yes, they are.
And then I think for us, like obviously I'm well aware of how Garrett prepped, but do you want to speak a little bit to how you
Well,
prepped?
I did so much research that when I was looking at the YouTube videos, they said, hey, don't do so much research. Don't plan out so much. So, don't be like plan out your day by day by day or what you're going to eat. Just kind of go with the flow. It's easy to get
And that was
food
really
on
hard for
on
me
the trail,
too.
like in towns. You're pretty much in town, maybe once or twice a week in certain points. And just, it's actually pretty easy.
I thought it was really hard though, because for me,
yeah, right.
because I'm a planner, as you guys can tell, just setting up this podcast,
Yeah.
I'm a freak show.
And I totally winged it. We were ready.
And I'm like, okay, I need to make sure you have all the nutrients that you need to have every single day. And so we went bought like a whole bunch of food and everything. That's how I thought it should be. But I realized, obviously, just from what you guys are telling me now, it's heavy to carry all that stuff.
Yeah, and for most cases, you don't want to buy all this food in advance because you don't know how you're going to feel on the trail if you're going to want that one day.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like that at all. It's hard to plan like what you want to eat, especially if it's weeks or months in advance. I mean, you're kind of like, as you go through towns, you like your opinions change, your tastes change.
You could probably have only so much ramen, I'm sure.
Well, every time you
Whatever.
went through town, you could throw the ramen out the window.
That's the staple.
Oh, really?
You could get the burgers. And you could eat whatever you wanted. You can eat whatever you want and not have to worry about anything. You could put like 8,000 calories down, no problem, and still, not gain an ounce. It's
Exactly, yeah.
I ate a ramen noodle
liberating.
every day for breakfast.
Did you?
so did Cody.
Dinner was me, every single day. It was
Yeah, I ate it
ramen
for dinner
noodles,
every
the
day.
tuna fish, and the mashed potatoes. That was my
Yep.
meal every
Those
single
things
day.
are packed full of calories.
Yeah.
And especially when you ate it before you went to bed, even like on the
Mhm.
coolest months, like in the Smokies when we were just starting like in early March.
Mm.
And it keeps your body warm and metabolizing as you're sleeping, so you're kind of warm
Mhm.
after you eat.
Yeah, I like soup, so that's why I did it. I love soup for breakfast.
Yeah, right on.
Now, I know the answer to this, but how did you guys figure out the logistics of lodging and obviously getting your water and, your water supply? How did that go? Shark Tooth.
Well, I used gut hooks, so it would tell you like where everything is, like water, camping sites, hostels and stuff. So I just kind of went by gut hooks, which actually, when I was on Springer Mountain, I needed like a 70-year-old man to help me figure out how to use it. I used gut hooks. She did. And
Is
I just kind of
that pretty much what you guys used too? Cowboy entered? Just an app like that?
Yes, to me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So for me, I had the AWOL book, and I learned how to read it. It took me a few days to actually get used to looking at how it was all laid out, how to use it properly and stuff. And when I first started the trail, I used the AWOL book, and that's what helped me get through it. But then when I met a few other people on the trail and they had gut hooks, and I seen what all gut hooks could do, like show you stealth camp spots. You know, somebody that's just ahead of you say, well, that water source was good 2 years ago, but now it's dried up. You don't get all that latest info on the AWOL book. So the people who had the gut hooks actually had they had a lot more information than I did, but you can still make it on the AT wall, the AWOL book, no problem. But that's what I used.
You used a book too.
I started with the book at first, but then I realized, I could ditch almost a pound in paperweight with the book and just get the app on my phone, which I'm carrying anyway.
Yeah.
So it really became about shedding weight after a certain point. It's like, what do I need?
I wasn't tech savvy, so I didn't even bother to get gut hooks. I didn't want to mess with it. You know what I mean? I'm just not tech savvy. That's why I stuck old school. Keep me the book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
feel that.
That's right. Yeah.
So obviously I mentioned this earlier, but so you guys, Turd and Sharktooth, hike together, and then Garrett, Zipper, and Cowboy hike together for most of the trail. You have your own Tramily too, and
went through phases.
Yeah, you went through phases and things. How did you guys, Turd and Sharktooth, how did you guys meet, and what made you decide that you wanted to hike together?
Well, I know that I met Turd right outside of Hot Springs, or right outside of Hot Springs of North Carolina. And I was hiking with these 4 other guys, and then Turd kind of befriended one of the guys and kind of started hiking with us. And then 2 of the guys got off, so then it was just me, Turd, and this other guy, Jeff. And then Jeff got off, and Turd was just stuck with me.
Nice. That's good.
Turd's like ditto. I was just stuck with her.
I knew she needed a medic all the way up.
But Turd was alone when he first met us, and he really needed a Tramily, so he kind of.
Oh, and you adopted him.
I did. I adopted him. I came at the best time in his life. Thankful.
So you're not a loner anymore, Turd.
No, I'm not a loner.
Well, I know that you were kind of bummed because you were missing your family a lot. So I think you just needed people to uplift you.
Well, that was the time. Coming into Hot Springs was the worst. That was my worst day on trail. Was coming up max. Actually, it was Snowbird when you come out of the Smokies. That was my worst day on trail, and I almost quit. So coming into Hot Springs, that was kind of a bad time for me. But yeah, I definitely took a 0 in Hot Springs, and it kind of got my spirits back up. I had lunch with Molly's Tramily that day, and then a buddy of mine, D3, had actually met me at one of the shelters with Subway and beer. Nice. He drove up from Chattanooga, so that was really cool. Yep. And so that kind of re-energized me, and then we met up in the rain, and that's when we started hiking around mile 311.
Yeah, and Turd mentioned to me that he was a master diver.
Yeah,
master.
Well,
and that he dove with sharks and stuff, and I'm obsessed with sharks. So I was just all right, stop. We're talking for hours now.
We are besties for life now.
Till we just become best friends.
Yeah.
Well,
you want to go play drums in the garage or do karate in the garage?
I talk for hours.
She had awesome questions about sharks, and I love talking about diving, so it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. So you guys had a lot.
Did you say in the first hour it was just okay, I can hike with this person?
I hiked more with Turtle.
Yeah, with someone else.
Met.
Yeah, it wasn't until it was just me and Turd alone. When we first met, I was a little bit faster than you.
Yes.
But then you kind of got your
got
legs.
Skinny.
I guess it just took you a little bit longer to get your hiking legs, and then just
Did you just say got skinny?
Yeah.
That's everything. Losing all that weight is having not on your back anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can fly.
So then there just became a point where just we hiked, I think, for an hour in silence, and just realized we were taking the same steps, same speed, and it just worked out perfectly. And we even had a conversation going into Waynesboro, Virginia, I think. And we were just if we had met in the real world, we would never be friends. Ever.
Yeah. Is that a pretty common feeling, you think? If you would have met somebody in the real world that you met on the trail, that you would not be friends with them? Is that pretty common?
I think for me, so. Yeah, because from where I came from, being in the Army, I've come from a very disciplined mindset and how I think, and it's just a lot different than I'm kind of, and plus I'm an old grumpy guy, you know, so, I mean, so yeah, definitely, I think it's the
I just
trail
want to
kind of brings
disagree
everybody
because when I
together.
met you, Turd, you were not. I didn't think you were grumpy. I thought you guys were super cool. By the way, I did some trail magic, and that's how I met you guys. I thought you guys were super cool, and I remembered when I was dropping you guys off back at the beginning of the trail, and this is in Harper's Ferry. Turd, you said you have like a really cool personality. Thank you for not talking about how pretty I was. That's fine. But you said you have an awesome personality. You should hike with us. And I said I don't think I could do it.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I could ever do it. But so that was cool. I didn't think you were grumpy at all. You seemed really great.
I've definitely seen him grumpy a few times.
But you guys hike together for a long time too, so you'll see all kinds of different sides.
Yeah. The
I think-
frustrations come out.
I think by like New Hampshire, Maine, we'd get into like, we'd bicker or fight every day, and then we'd like set our tent up and be like, hi. I'm not really mad anymore. Okay, me either, you know, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, New England was a special challenge. I mean, it's so hard up there, and
Yeah.
you know, when you're just, it can get really hard.
And we had this like weird, well, I had like hiked with Turd for so long, and I just wanted some alone time, and I am a disaster, and very accident prone, so Turd was like too worried about me to leave me alone, and I was just like, stop.
Give me some space. I need some space. I need some alone time. I need some space. That's probably what you felt like, and I understand it. It's not meant to hurt the other person's feeling. Just sometimes you just need your own space. You just want to be, because it's your journey, truly.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have a hiking partner, you join dreams, you talk about everything. It doesn't seem like it's so much yours and yours alone anymore. It's shared. So you need to take. Sometimes you just need those moments. Just be by yourself for a little bit. Have your campfire by yourself. Just chill by yourself.
But do you remember the one time I did leave you alone in Vermont, and then you fell, and I waited for you, and you got mad at me for leaving you?
Yeah. Well, it's not like I wasn't mad at you for leaving me. I had fallen, and I was just like gushing blood everywhere and crying, and I was just like, Turt's not here for once in his life. Like, he's not here to take care of me. Like, what the fuck? Like, the one time he leaves me alone, I'm just like bleeding everywhere. So it's just,
that's a sign.
it wasn't so much that I was like upset that he left me. It was just like the one time he leave me, I like got really hurt.
And how did you guys meet, Zipper and Cowboy?
Do what?
How
I'll
did
let
you
Zipper
guys
answer
meet?
whatever. Yeah, go ahead, Zipper.
Glasgow, I think. No, we met at Woods Hole.
Woods Hole, yeah.
Yep, I was with
Woods
my
Hole
family at
Hostel.
Woods Hole, and then we came up, and it was an interesting hostel, and I connected with Cowboy right away because you can't drink at that hostel. Neville, the hostel owner, she's anti-alcohol, and I remember us talking right away. Like, the first thing Cowboy says to me is, you can't drink here. You can't bring your beer in here. So just so you know, don't bring your beer in here. He was doing chores around her property too, like fixing her fences and stuff. And he was there for a few days. And but yes, he warned me right away because I asked him right away, how can we get back on the road as quick as I can to go to the nearest town and get a beer or so. And he's like, nope, you don't want to do that. And he enlightened me to Neville and her circumstances and everything. So I respected that. But after that, I mean, I kind of like gravitated to Cowboy right away because he kind of told me how it is right away. And I realized, like, oh, there's a kindred spirit. You like to have, because we talked, you got to get your beer almost every night if you can. If you can have a couple beers every night, that's great. And it makes you feel better at the end of the day, or especially a long day. And
yeah, my husband's a drinker. So did you? And I know Cowboy. They definitely like to drink. Did you guys drink at all on the trail too?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
When I was in Georgia, I strapped 6-packs to the top of my backpack.
Yeah.
IPAs though, right?
You go, girl.
I did PNR the first week because it tastes exactly the same warm. So I was just like, well, it's gonna be.
Yep. And then sometimes it's a challenge because you're strapping all this beer to your pack. You're walking in miles, and then you got to pack it all out. Yeah, what's up?
Zipper, I know this wasn't part of the question, but please tell them the story real quick because it's a good one. It's short. tell a story about me when we said we're going to meet at the road. You know, we night hiked. We went to the road, and I said, and I went in before you. I went into town, and you got some trail magic by those people picking you up or whatever. And you saw me on the side of the highway, and I had these 2 cases of beer inside my
Yeah,
bag.
I have
Tell that story real quick.
in his resupply. So he's hustling to his resupply because, you know, we didn't always hike together. He was miles ahead of me that one night, and he decided to make camp further than I wanted to make camp. So I stopped and I made camp. It was raining. I mean, it was storming out. It was muddy, and I'm like, I can't keep going on. I got to stop. It's like 5 miles before the road. Cowboy went all the way to the road before he made camp. So he woke up early in the morning, got a hitch into town. By the time I got that 5 miles and got a hitch into town, my wife, my mother had bought us a hotel room for the day so we can chill in town. So she called, she reserved the hotel. I got the hitch into town. I stopped at the post office to pick up my resupply for my wife. And then lo and behold, on our way to the hotel, there's this guy right here walking down the road. His cardboard is stormy, it's raining. He's got cardboard boxes that are drenched in both hands. And he's got like 2 24 packs in his pack. And
2 12 packs.
some other stuff, whatever, strapped onto the outside. And I don't know how you're walking because your whole body mass on your legs must have been close to 300 pounds with everything you had on you. And
the guy who gave me the ride picks up my pack and goes, "What do you have in there?"
Yeah, we gotta stop over. I was getting a ride, right? And I would never be so rude to a trail angel or whatever. But I'm like, oh my God, we gotta pull over. I was so worried. It's like, geez, I know this guy. He is just looks like he's struggling right now because he's just hoofing it. And he had like a 5-mile walk to the hotel with all that stuff in it. And,
the lights you'll go to get your beer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hasn't changed either here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, right. So I guess.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say Pennsylvania had the worst beer laws. We had to go to dispensaries.
Oh, Pennsylvania sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
a gas station, you got to go to a specific place to buy the alcohol you want. Sometimes that's miles off trail.
That was in Pennsylvania, you said?
Yeah. Worst liquor laws in the nation. As far as I'm concerned. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad to be home in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we drink a lot here in Wisconsin, so.
Yeah. Vermont has a lot of breweries, so it's easy to just and gas stations, grocery stores sell beer, so just anywhere.
Yeah, most definitely.
Just buy it anywhere.
So I do want to ask you guys a question. I'm sure a lot of people also wonder, how was it with having to hike for so many hours a day? Like your hygiene, and what was your bathroom situation? How did you guys do laundry? I know how Garrett did it, but I think everybody else out there would be really interested in knowing. Cowboy, do you want to talk more about that?
Sure. Sometimes when you go into town and stuff like that, of course you hit the laundromat, you wash your clothes, but there's other times that, when there's different parts of the trail, you're always hitting the towns there for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you're not so much in the wilderness like you were before. You don't always want to go into town, or so maybe you might be short on money and stuff. So a lot of times me and Zipper, we'd wash our clothes in the creek and stuff. And a lot of people do that. You know what I mean? So we would it's all about getting the salt out. I don't know if you can ever get the stink out, but you know what I'm saying? At least to get the salt out.
Because your clothes become like solidified. It would be
mine would have white stain. Mine have white stains of all the salt off my body on them. Like once it dried, the sweat dried, it was all like white stains there, and that's all the salt off your body. The second thing is that you don't really you think in your brain, when you think about the AT, that there's going to be all these different areas you can just jump in a river and take it, take a bath or whatever. But even though there is some rivers where you can do that, when you're walking through the woods and stuff, there's not always rivers around, So one of my favorite things was the baby wipes. I mean, I always took a baby wipe bath every night before I went to bed. Letting your feet breathe is huge important, So, I'd always take the baby wipes, wipe down my body, and occasionally, wash off in the creek a little bit. But there's different showers and stuff that you run across from community centers, stuff like that as you're hiking, so you get the shower up. So that's the answer to hygiene. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, speaking of bathroom, Turd, what was your situation like?
Well, when I went.
Tell me more.
Go.
I'd like to know more.
Please.
My hygiene was probably not that great. I mean,
I'm sure the hikers all don't have.
If I could jump in like a lake, I'd jump in a lake. But I wore the same clothes every day. For the most part, and I sweat a lot. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
it's
disgusting.
it is disgusting. It like I would sometimes, just to gross everybody out, I'd take out my shirt and I'd just wring it out, and it would just like.
The headband was the worst thing. He would like take off this headband and there'd just be like a pool of water. It'd be like, oh my God, how
Thank
on
God
earth
you had a
are
headband.
you so sweaty?
It would just fit in your eyes if you didn't have a buff or headband. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, the headband does it just saves your eyes from getting burned,
Lifesaver.
but
Yes, I had the buff. It was.
yeah,
yeah,
Aaron needed that for sure.
I didn't use it when at first though,
I didn't use a buff.
but after I figured out there's a way to keep sweat out of your eyes, it was. I wouldn't go.
Yeah, I had I used to run like half marathons, so I just used my runner's headbands, and they worked out awesome. But yeah, I was horrible about brushing my teeth. I never
It's
washed
a hard one to remember.
I never
did either.
I never washed my cooking pot.
Yeah, me
Hardly
either.
ever.
Oh.
I had a bandana. I just like wipe it out and be like, all right, here we go.
Yeah,
That's cleaning.
But did you cook out of your cookie pot or did you just boil water for the?
No, I cooked in it.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, we
I
both
mean,
cooked and ate out of ours.
Yeah, I just figured the bacteria would make me stronger.
It's actually
You
Fill up
like
your immune.
you like the cup of coffee in the morning with the ramen noodle flavor inside your coffee.
Yeah.
That didn't bother you none, huh?
I
Oh, that's
always,
yummy.
yes, I would always have ramen noodle floaties in my coffee because I always had the coffee afterwards.
right. And you got to
Oh,
credit
that's
because you're
horrible.
boiling the water again, so the next time you boil the water, it should sanitize them.
I didn't boil
Yeah.
water. Oh, well, I boiled the water for the coffee, but I didn't, when was it? Virginia, I started filtering probably.
Yeah.
And then I
No.
kind of, when was
No,
it?
you didn't filter in Virginia because one time, and then in Maine you just stopped filtering your
Yeah.
water because you just said if I get Giardia it'll be after the trail,
That's true. I
so you
did
just
say
stopped
that.
filtering. Yeah,
It's because of
But
all
there
that
was a-
good bacteria, though. That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
you
So
got,
there was 2 days in Georgia that you didn't, or in Virginia that you didn't, but otherwise I don't remember you not. Filtering.
I didn't filter a lot in, I kind of had a rule, like if I was above 3,000 feet and it was a good stream, I felt pretty confident I didn't need to filter it.
Yep.
But when I got to Virginia, I was careful about like farms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to get sick.
Yeah,
there.
well, what we met in like the end of North Carolina, and you always filtered then, but
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
before
Well, that's when we
but
started
I
getting
don't
the
know.
pastures.
yeah, but before I
Yeah.
don't know what you did.
I just made sure to filter in New Jersey and New York.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Why?
Oh, Maryland
That
was bad. Or
orange
no,
water.
Massachusetts was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that orange
Massachusetts
water
was
so
disgusting
gross.
water. Well, that was Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That orange from all the iron.
But yeah, so yeah, in all, my hygiene sucked.
Yeah.
All in all of our hygiene stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, with you, Chartreuse, just being, obviously a female, did that pose any problems at all?
No, not personally.
I told you we have to go to the bathroom.
So I made sure that like when I went to the bathroom, I used baby wipes instead of toilet paper because it just like made me feel cleaner. I definitely went probably longer without showering than I should have. And for like the very first like 2 months, I just washed my clothes in like sinks, like gas station sinks and bathrooms. Or if I took a shower, I would just like bring my clothes in with me and like wring them out and put some soap in them in the shower. So I didn't do like actual laundry.
Wash them as you go.
Yeah, so I didn't actually like do actual laundry for a while.
Well, you used to do mine because I
Oh
told you I
my
didn't
God.
know.
Turd when I first met Turd, he told me he's never done laundry in his life. He didn't know how to.
Are you
So I did. So for like 700 miles, 700 miles, I did his laundry because I was like, this man is hopeless. Like he's just
I
like
can't believe
this
it worked on you.
45-year-old man has never done laundry. Like what a piece of shit. Like I'll just do it.
Wow.
Hey, I'll let you
And
think I'm
then-
a piece of shit if you do my laundry.
And then
You are
and then
terrible.
randomly I was like, Turd, I have to go resupply and like get some beer. Like you're gonna have to do laundry. Do you want me to explain it to you? He's like, no, I've been fucking with you. I've known how to do it all along. Are you kidding me?
Nice.
I would have punched you right in the face if you did
I
that.
might have. I might have
Aw.
punched them.
You are so lucky you have her, man. crazy.
She was a good hiking partner. She was a lot of fun.
But like for period wise, I have an IUD, so I actually didn't bleed. But a lot of women that I did know, it was kind of 50-50. I know that women that had Diva cups and they hated them, and then I had women that had tampons, which is like brain tampons, and they like wanted the Diva cup. I think that probably tampons is probably more hygienic, because you have to like stick your gross fingers out there. So,
Can you speak more about this, please? Can you elaborate?
So you start squatting now. So I think like more, and then you just kind of have to like deal with like taking your that back out with you.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of the communities and stuff that you guys went through too, I'm sure that they had supplies and things, so they probably were pretty used to what hikers and stuff would need. How was that like for you guys? I'll start with you. How was it like describe the hiker community and describe kind of just like the culture of like the hiking community?
You can see some of the hiking community here. You got people from all kinds of walks of life. But in general, everyone's great. Everyone gets along. I wish the real world kind of emulated the hiker community in a way. Everyone's usually really pleasant, welcoming, knowledgeable, helpful.
Except for that one murder from last year. There was a murder last year.
Yeah, there.
We know.
Yeah,
the news on the trail goes faster up and down the trail than it does even on social media. Social media perpetuates it, but we all knew about it probably within an hour of it happening.
That's awful. I was so scared when I saw that.
The ATC and the community out there, they're always sending people up and down to warn people and to get information on problem hikers, and they're always looking out for your best interests.
Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like a really great community.
It is. And,
it is.
Yes, it really is. And then the towns you hike through too, for the most part, they're great. I don't think I have one bad thing to say with any hiker town.
I mean, you guys had a lot of opportunities with like trail angels and stuff too, that would like feed you guys and make sure you guys. Yes, but I'm saying like people who would just set up stands and just give you guys like food, sodas.
Zipper, please excuse me. I don't mean to interrupt.
Real life is like.
I'm sorry. Come again.
I don't want to interrupt, but please, she's talking about the towns and the angels. But tell them real quick about that one story about that old lady that was out there by that community garden, and we were getting eaten by mosquitoes that night. When we remember that, it was in New York.
Yeah, it was coming down. I don't remember which mountain it was, and we didn't have to come into town, but it was a very steep downhill, and then it would be a steep uphill. So we were thinking, oh crap, if we're going to town, it's going to be a really big climb out. So it was. I mean, it was really hot and humid too. So I mean, but we decided, hey, we're gonna walk this Blue Blaze Trail to the town and have a night there. Go to the bar, have a couple of drinks, because we're always looking for the beer if we can get it. Mm-hmm. And that was that beer for that day. And we knew it required a lot of work the next morning to get out. But we came down, and there was a community garden right there. As you, I forgot what city was that. And if you could remind me, that's great. That's great. But it was a little town
in New York.
New York. It was by this big lake. But there was this lady, trail angel, and this is you can relate this to almost any experience. She's just like, hey, are you a thru-hiker? Because you could pretty much spot a thru-hiker at that point in time if they were that far up north, and they just have a look about them. They're carrying a pack. If you're in this place right now, you're probably not just doing a section.
They're wringing sweat out of their headbands.
Yeah, right. That's another telltale sign.
Was it Nuclear Lake?
Nuclear
Lake? Was it Nuclear Lake?
No. This was
the one with the big beach.
It was before that, because I remember that. That was we swim? No. There's other hikers swam in Nuclear Lake. But anyway, she's talking to us, and she hands us like a $20 bill a piece. It's like, I give all the thru-hikers $20 bills. And
she was having a nice breakfast down that cafe down there that
but I was there first, and then I had a conversation, and Rob's coming down, he's right behind me, and I was like, he's not really a thru-hiker, but I'll take his money. I'll tell him, I was just like, it was gonna be a good time. But she ended up talking to Rob and the same thing, or Cowboy, and then we went to the restaurant and got one of the biggest breakfasts I ever had on the trail ever.
So delicious.
And we have pictures. Oh my, the French.
But just random people like that would do that. Yeah, random people.
Just the generosity.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah. It's very sweet, very nice.
it's a game changer too. It really is. If you're having a really
Yeah.
bad day on trail, and if you're having a bad week even, just if you could be having a bad day, like you almost want to quit, and all of a sudden you get some act of generosity from a stranger that just like
Yeah.
totally re-energizes you. And
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
it's
Do you guys want to share a story about a trail angel? Did you guys have similar experiences as they did too? Was somebody just giving you money?
No one gave us money, but a lot of people like open their houses to us and would like
Yeah.
feed us. Jamie, yeah,
Mama.
we were like, well, we don't know where to go, blah blah. And she'd like, just come to my house for free, and she'd like drive us. Multiple people would like drive us to their house, let us shower, feed us, and just like
yes.
for
Yeah,
for free.
My buddy Sherpa left his car at Grafton Notch for us and told me where the keys were to his house up
Yeah,
in Maine.
Wow.
Wow.
And we just used his house for 2 days.
but I know that. I don't know. I mean, you were a little bit behind me at this point, but I know that like right before hiking up Max Patch in right after the Smokies, there was just like this couple that was making grilled cheese with bacon and just had like cases of beer and bananas and
Yes.
oranges, and it was like
trail magic.
yeah, it was just like a really hard hike, and it was just like really like shitty, and then all of a sudden there's trail magic, and there's like a huge group of hikers, so it was just really wonderful.
Must be just like a boost of morale to like keep going at least another like couple days or whatever.
Yeah. And I also just get so surprised like how nice people are. Like it was in Pennsylvania, I was just walking, and this woman with 2 German shepherds like walked up to me, and I was like petting her dogs, and she's like, "Do you want to come to my house and shower?" I'm just like, oh my god, that's so nice. I'm like meeting people who are like a little bit ahead of me, but that's so nice of you to just offer.
So, like imagine that in like the real world. Like if somebody came up to you and asked you, "Do you want to just come to my house and shower?"
Exactly.
I'd be like, no, I don't want you to wear
Like,
the
I see you're incredibly sweaty there, Turd. Would you like to come over and just use my shower?
Yeah, I got lots of lotion. Put it on.
Yeah. It puts the lotion on its skin.
I'll put it in a basket and I'll like wheel it down to you.
Yeah. And just like how quick it is to get hitchhike rides. Like it just like it shouldn't, but it surprised me like how nice and amazing people can be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I get it now.
Yeah, you're a girl too, though. Try to do the bandana.
Sometimes women could be out there, get them out, and then it'd be more apt to pick up the girls sometimes over the guys, and then you could just come around the corner and bushwhack into the car.
Sometimes me and
time.
Zipper get a ride kind of quick, but there's other times we'd have to walk the whole 2 miles to the store to get that one beer we wanted so bad.
Yeah.
Because nobody would pick us up. You see 2 guys with bandanas, stinky, you know what I'm saying?
There was one time that I was on the street for a while trying to get a hitchhike, and I like went to go pee or I gave up or something, and Turd got a ride in like the next minute.
Oh, right
I
on.
started
moonwalking.
moonwalking, and these girls that were going to a funeral stopped and picked us up.
Yeah.
Oh,
She was an Uber driver. She's like, I usually pick up hitchhikers, but yeah, Turd got a ride in a second. So he used me for a while. It's like, you got to go hitchhike. And then, I had to use him after that.
Yeah.
He used you for laundry. He used you for rides.
Yeah, but after that, I pimped him out. It's like, you go show some leg.
Right, yeah.
Well, my legs look like every other girl's leg out there. They're all hairy. So.
That's right.
That's true.
Yeah, that's tough.
Screw shaving. Yeah, it's too much effort.
So you guys mentioned a part of this too earlier, but were there like certain states where you just absolutely like, I hate this state or I hate this section of the trail? I think when I picked you guys up, Turd and Shark Tooth, you guys were telling me a little bit about that. But was there a particular section of the trail that you absolutely just hated?
Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Yeah. 100% agreed. 100% agreed.
I didn't like Pennsylvania hiking it, but I loved the towns.
There was though Palmerton or Hamburg. You wanted to get off, and I had to convince you to stay on. You were in the hotel room. You're like, I don't know if I'm getting on tomorrow. I was like, yes, you are getting on tomorrow.
Yeah, that might have been. I do remember there. Oh, is that when my feet were hurting like really, really bad? I needed new.
It might have been, but you would like talk to your wife and kids that day, and you were just like, I think it was close to Mackenzie's birthday, your daughter.
Oh, that could have.
And I think that you were just like heartbroken and just missed your family.
maybe I don't know.
But you were just like you were just like in a terrible mood. You like wouldn't talk to me. You're like, I'm not getting back on trail. I was like, you're my only friend right now. You are getting back on trail.
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah, I had like 2 or 3 times where it was like I'm done.
Yeah.
But I'd wake up the next morning and be like, okay, I'm good.
But I'd say Pennsylvania was the worst state for me. It was just really rough on the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was no fun to look at every single step you took, all those 250,000 or so steps to that state. Every single one of them you had to watch. And I said the same thing almost every night. I'm done. I'm quitting the next morning. Bam.
But but look back at it now and think about like how cool the towns were.
Yeah.
Like walking in, like that fireplace that has the beer, but the restaurants and stuff like Carlisle, and then the rattlesnakes, the copperheads, the
I only saw
beaver.
that in Pennsylvania.
Well, and that
Carlisle,
was the place that had the swing out into the
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that was fun.
Fun.
That was
Yeah,
fun.
they're not
Yeah.
Spring.
So,
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
That's a nice spot.
Yeah, and Delaware Water Gap was awesome. One of my favorite.
I did
town.
love Delaware Water Gap a lot.
Yep, it was very awesome there.
Yeah, so and Boiling Springs. I mean, there were some really
Boiling
cool
Springs
places,
was cool.
but actually walking the trail in Pennsylvania was just kind of like.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even for a day
Yes.
after Delaware Water Gap, it was still kind of like the terrain was still changing.
Yes.
Still like on the rocks in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Goldfish Pond or whatever, Sunfish Pond or whatever. Yeah, until you got on
Also,
top of
like,
the mountain.
No one talks about how much New York sucks.
Oh man,
Like New York sucked. Like the first part of New York was awful.
Yeah.
when the
No one
rocks
talks
were
about it
wet.
though.
Yeah, especially if it rains, because those rocks were really wet.
We hiked into New York in the pouring rain, and the two of us were just like sliding everywhere.
Yep.
Let me ask you all a question. Where were you two at when you got to see the skyline of Manhattan? Like, did you do it at night? Did you camp over in that spot? Like, what was your experience to see the skyline?
We saw it during the day.
Did you?
Yeah, so we were hiking with a group of people at the time that like weren't really like our Tramily, but just like kind of like bits and pieces of like people that we knew. And we decided to actually not hike very long the day before and stayed at a different shelter. And then the next day we like hiked up to that other shelter that you could see the view.
Yeah, north of
And so we saw it during the day. And it was kind of cloudy, but you could still see it in the distance.
Yeah. That's the same with us too, yeah.
Yeah, we had a very clear view. You could see the skyline. At that point, it was 30 miles away. You could see it on the horizon, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. I know that Turd took a pretty cool picture of me where you can see it in the distance.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to go into New York, but then again, I was like, you know what? Let's just keep going because
Go ahead. It was raining every day in New York, and I think that we were just like trying to hike through it at that point.
Yeah, it was rough because we missed a lot of days in New York because of rain. You just couldn't walk on them. That one day I fell 3 times in 9 miles, and it was like I'm done.
Well, we did 15.
Did we?
Yeah, but we were planning on doing like 20, 21 or something.
Yeah.
So
There were some
too much.
nice climbs around there though. But we actually had to we got almost into the city itself because we were chasing beer. So.
You guys realize there's a theme here?
We ended up
Beer.
Beer.
That's it.
Yeah, we slept on the Hudson River under a bridge with traffic going over us all night.
Oh
and we were
wow.
sitting over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, all spray painted. We were like some hobos out there, man.
That actually brings me to another question. There were times when Garrett like would call me and I would be like, "Where did you sleep last night?" He's like, "Behind a broken down factory or something." Did you guys under a bridge was another one? Did you guys sleep in some pretty crazy places or like where was the craziest place?
Yes, we slept next to a train track one night, not realizing that the train was going to go by every 3 hours.
Oh
my God. Because it was a Sunday, so we're just like, okay, like whatever. Like there's not going to be no trains like during the night, and it was just like every 2 hours.
That was boiling.
It was like 3 a.m. Yeah, it was right before Boiling Springs. Or was that Boiling Springs?
Yeah, where the pool was.
Yeah, Bowling Springs. Yeah, they had that little camp spot, and then the train. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So we like
walked through a grassy field before you got there.
Yeah, with all the mosquitoes. That was the worst part.
Yeah, they had tons of mosquitoes there.
Yes, there were a lot of mosquitoes there actually.
It was one of the badder nights, but not the worst. But yeah.
The weirdest place I slept in was the bathroom at White Level,
I slept in a bathroom too.
where the concrete tower was. I slept on the other hill up the street from it in the actual Porta-John.
Nasty.
And actually, people did that to combat the cold. People would sleep in the bathrooms because they were heated.
Yeah.
And
We found that.
In
some of them
Newfoundland.
were heated. Yeah.
But yeah, I slept in a bathroom once, and I was hiking with 2 other dudes at the time, so they slept in the men's bathroom, and I was in the women's bathroom, like completely alone. And I would hear them laughing and be like, "No, let me in, include me."
Did you guys sleep in any of the towers?
No.
No, I don't think we did.
I did.
I did.
You know Albert Mountain? You know Albert Mountain where I had that weather that is an old weather tower station?
Yeah.
I slept in that one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I
when I hiked the long trail,
Frozen.
I slept in the Stratton Mountain Fire Tower in Vermont. It would be like the first one that you hike by in Vermont.
I think if I was going to do it again, I'd want to sleep on top of Bromley Mountain up at the chairlifts.
Isn't that beautiful up there?
It is.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you could
Actually,
camp up
I didn't know
there.
that either. They would let you sleep there right on the lift kind of section by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see the most beautiful sunrises.
Yeah.
They were showing me their pictures after I got up there
did.
because I didn't sleep there. But
That was the day someone told us that we like wouldn't find water for miles, so I found a random water bottle on the trail, and I chugged the water, like really old water, and then 2 miles later there's a road crossing, just like a huge water.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, well.
I remember that. I remember like conserving my water for so long because there's not going to be any water, and then all of a sudden there's just caches of water everywhere. I'm like, wow, okay.
Did you drink
I'm a lot less thirsty.
Did you drink water in the 20-mile section in Palmerton, or not Palmerton, but Lehigh
High Gap and stuff? Yeah. There was so much water around there.
I just drank it.
Yeah,
because
so did
all the what was it, zinc?
Yeah, it still was orange.
You did not drink it.
Oh,
No, we had to. We ran out.
No, we didn't, because that's the day we hiked 20 miles and stayed with Jamie.
Well, we did, but somewhere in there, the water was bad through the whole state.
It wasn't that stretch. I remember that.
Whatever. You know my mind's going.
I actually remember reading the comments.
Both of us did, like way before that. We both drank orange water because you were like amazed by how much clearer it was after the Sawyer squeeze.
Yeah, after
this really does filter.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked.
Yeah, so we did drink orange water then. That is true.
And it tastes just like clear water, I'm sure.
I don't think it tastes bad.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't.
It tastes the same.
I had nothing to taste with the dirtiest, scummiest water that I've ever drank. It tasted good.
In Massachusetts, we had water that even after filtered, it was like brown. And
Yes.
that was the only time that water tasted gross to me.
Yep. There's a
was
lot
like-
of water with tannin up there. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it could have been just like, I'm watching myself drink this brown water, so I could just feel in my mind, like, this is so gross. But I remember not being too thrilled, but I drank it.
That's right.
Wait, did you guys say were you guys ever sick from drinking any of the water?
Nah.
I
No.
don't think so, no.
I
Were you
never
ever
heard any stories about anyone I knew being sick either. It was always, someone that you knew, someone that knew someone who.
Well, Free got norovirus.
Yeah,
I wasn't
really
there for
said
that.
Or some kind of like pesticide. he got sick.
We got some bad shrooms.
This is a hiker.
But I don't think he filtered water or cooked food. He was awesome. I loved Free.
Free was awesome.
Yeah,
He was very down to earth.
Dude.
Yeah.
So I do want to ask too, because you mentioned this earlier, like just the times that you're like, a few times you're like, I'm just done. I want to give up. I know Garrett had a few of those. One of them was actually when I met you guys when I was in Harper's Ferry. Garrett was like kind of done. Did you have any of those moments too, Sharktooth? And what was that like?
I did once, and it was actually in the beginning in Georgia. So I was actually in Helen, Georgia. So it was like after 4 days of hiking, and I had like met these 2 guys, Turtle and Coyote, and they were awesome. Like I loved them, but at this point, I just felt like very disconnected from them and like very alone. So mentally, then I remember like texting my parents and my brother and like just like crying in my tent, being like, I'm getting off trail. Like I can't do this mentally. It was actually my brother who was just like, yo, if you want to get off, like I'll come pick you up. And like whatever, you're still a badass. You walked 100 miles, but like, I know you can do this. Like, you got this. You're a badass. And that was just kind of like, okay, I got this. But yeah, for a good 6 hours, I was just like, I'm done. I'm getting off. Like, I'm going to get off here. I'm going to like hitch into town, get a plane ride from here, blah, blah, blah. I like plan my whole like way to get back to Vermont. And then I was kind of like, no, I got this. Like, just make it to Virginia at least. Like, so that's kind of how I was just like, just make it to Virginia, just make it to Pennsylvania, just make it to Vermont, you know, and then, you know, and I was like, I got it. But that was the only time that I really wanted to get off. When I started, I didn't actually anticipate that I was going to finish either. Like, that was my end goal, but I was kind of like, you know, like, if you make it 100 miles, if you make it 500 miles, you still did something like really cool. Yeah. And it's going to be okay if you fail.
What was it, Molly? I think we talked about, and I was like, once we hit like 700 miles, I was like, I know we're all going to make it. I think it was like that 700-mile mark. It was like, I know you're going to make it. I know Jeff's going to make it.
I think it was 600, but yeah, you did say that it was me, you, and this other guy, Jeff, hiking, and you just like stopped us in the middle of the day. He's like, guys, we're making it. Like, we got this. Like, you're making it. I'm making it. And it was like a uplifting moment. I was just like, cool. Like, I know I can do it, but it's nice to know that it's like,
was it more like the mental aspect of the trail that got to you and wanted to quit, or was it the physical?
No, it was the mental.
Okay.
Yeah. Physically, so that I had a pair of shoes that were a half size too small, so I had like gnarly blisters through Georgia. But once I got to the NOC, I got new shoes, and I was just like zipping around.
Yeah. What about you, Turd? What were the times like that you were like, I just want to be done? You said it was.
Yeah, the first time was in Damascus on Easter when I got to see my family. And we were going down the Creeper Trail, and I didn't say anything to Molly or Jeff. But when at the end of the day, I think the next day, I told Molly, I was like, I almost quit yesterday, and if I didn't start walking again today, I was going to walk back to Damascus. But I didn't want to be like a Debbie Downer that day when we walked out. But that was kind of like on my mind all day. And then, that one time up in PA, I can't remember where it was, but it was just like so, like there was no.
It was
views.
Hamburg.
Was it Hamburg?
It was Hamburg because we had just got to the Yuengling Brewery, and then that person at Red Robin asked if I needed a children's menu.
Yeah.
Apparently, I looked like I was 12 that day.
Yeah. So maybe it was just those 2 times. I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, because I remember it was random that like I had just like met up with you, and you're just like, I'm gonna get off, and I was like, what? But you didn't. You obviously stayed on.
You guys all summited, so.
I'm glad I did. I'm sure you guys are glad you did too.
You had a couple of times, I think.
It's just to be able to finish that out. It's like the time, actually looking back on it now, like it was like forever before it's done. But all of a sudden it's been a year, you know, and then it's going to be 10 years and 20 years. And I mean, the time that we had out there was just fleeting. And I'm so glad that, you know, you for one, really, you know, you were my biggest supporter, and you can, you know, because coming into Harper's Ferry, even I was hiking with Rob and Cowboy, and Cowboy, he had some new shoes, and, you know, feet problems it's so just, you know, just specific to you. Everyone's got their own foot problems. Everyone's got their own. It's a weird thing with feet in their shoes and long distance hiking. It's weird. But he had some new shoes he had just got, and he couldn't move because they were all, you know, scathed up and everything. And so he stopped at the shelter, but, you know, a couple shelters before Harper's Ferry, and I was heading in, and I'm thinking to myself, well, this is the last couple of mountains I'm going to climb, because I think I'm going to go home, because I miss my wife. And
I was coming to visit too, and we did end up getting him a plane ticket. Yep.
And I didn't. By the time I was, you know, in Harper's Ferry, and we'd have been talking, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I can't take this ticket back that we'd already paid for. It's not refundable.
Yeah.
And then, all right, well, I'm just gonna keep going. And she just kept, keep going.
Literally, no, you were like wanting to wake up and go home, and I was like, you are not coming home with me. I'm going home by myself. No way are you coming home with me. Like at all. You were literally gonna stay and finish this thing.
And you guys all understand it. You just miss your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually in Vermont, I had like a family member going through some medical issues, and I remember that I like told Jared I was getting off, and he had to be like, no, like you they wouldn't want you, like your parents don't want you to do it, like this person doesn't want you to do that, like you have to stay on, blah blah. But I was like, I'm gonna get off, and Turd was like the person who like saved me from doing that. Thank you, Turd.
Yeah, thanks, Jared.
I mean, I think even just like, because I can't speak to your guys' side of, you know, the issue, but for me, it was like, I wanted my husband, since he was already out there and I was already doing okay, like financially and, you know, emotionally, I was doing okay. I have like great friends and family, so I was all right. But I was just like, man, if you are going to do this and you've already gone this far, just please finish it. Because when are you ever going to do it
But
again?
I also looked at it like, oh my gosh, I'm not even really halfway at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
there's
sure you
like
guys
1,000
looked at it like
miles.
Yeah.
with the miles, but I
Yeah.
looked at it like, this time in our life, you better do it. You
But
know?
I'm like, 'cause I just miss home and everything,
Yeah.
and family. But then you know what? That you get that second
Absolutely.
wind. That's where it hit me too, with Shang telling me to keep going. Like, you know what? I can. I guess you're right. I can keep going.
Mhm.
And I see
Yeah.
everyone around me keep going. It's like, you know what? I don't want to miss out on this, because I was thinking, like, you know what? It's gonna be over. It's gonna be over one day, and it's gonna be a lot of that type 2 fun where it's not so much fun to do, but it's so fun to talk about. And
Yeah.
and this is what I wanted from the beginning. So, I mean, everyone, if they admit it or not, everyone feels that like that's at some point, and everyone has to get their second wind or their energy from somewhere else, and
Absolutely.
that's where I
Yeah.
got mine. So
Yeah.
thank you.
That's cool.
That's awkward, guys.
Not really. It's
what
really
a-
mushy.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, but you know this isn't gonna last, right? As soon
Yeah.
as we get off, it's gonna be like we're gonna like be bickering again. So
Yeah, I'm sure Turd will call me and yell at me later.
Man.
What's character?
No, you're having a good hair day. I'll leave you alone.
what about you, Cowboy? Were there times where you just wanted to go back home?
I'll be completely honest with you. After I failed that first time, my first attempt, I really didn't feel the feeling of I want to quit, I want to give up. I did get discouraged at times. I thought the mosquitoes, like when we were in this one shelter in New Jersey, and Zipper had put up his tent. He was completely fine and hunky-dory, but there was supposed to be a hailstorm that was going to come through, so we had been there all day, like since about noon, 1 o'clock, and we were going to spend the night there because there's supposed to be a really bad hailstorm coming through, so we're huddling up there at that. It's in New Jersey. It's like one of the first shelters there. And the mosquitoes were so horrendous. Now, you always hear about mosquitoes, but there was no place worse than this place. Like, I am telling you, the buzzing. And all I had was the mosquito net for my head, which I thank God that I had that. But the mosquitoes were just plagued all over me. And like when you went down to get your water at the water source, the mosquitoes would eat you. I mean, I know what happens at different water sources. I know that, but there was no water source. So that was like one of my worst days I can remember. It was the mosquitoes. Like the black flies sometimes will drive you crazy, where it just drives you crazy mentally, where it's almost like I've had enough of this shit. Like it really screws with you mentally. You know what I mean? It really does. All that buzz, that constant buzzing. You know what I mean? So that's where if you have service and you're able to put your earphones and listen to music, it's a hell of a lot better than listening to that buzzing 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? But yeah, I never really had a point where I wanted to quit. I was almost forced to quit because like we said, me and Garrett, or me and Zipper, we like to drink beer. So there's an opportunity to have beer for breakfast one morning. And I just so happen to have a little too many beers for breakfast. So thinking that I'm still okay, I'm making sure no problem.
Everyone who's watching this podcast is gonna be like, "Man, your husband has issues. Like, you guys just drink like all the time, or what?"
I guess you gotta have an issue
Yes.
with it. Yeah, I don't know.
When you're living in the woods for months, like what?
Yeah, I bet a beer, like just a nice cold crisp beer, is everything to you. If you've been
It's
hiking
never.
all day.
It's not cold.
Oh, it's not
And
cold.
they've never
It's
looked
never
somebody
cold.
Yeah.
It's never cold.
I'll stop that story because we're going off. It's off subject. I guess that's off
Sorry.
camera talk. That one is. But
No,
anyways,
that was a horrible night. I woke up several times during the night, and I was so comfortable.
Yeah,
I had
I
a freestanding
remember.
tent, so I set up my tent in the shelter because there's too many mosquitoes. Every time I woke up to change, sleep on my side from my other side, I was like, dude, maybe we should just get up and go. And rather than saying, dude, I cannot stand it anymore, Rob's like, maybe we should do this. And maybe he would never be like admitting to the fact that he was like being killed. Because it's either, and he has a sleep bag, right? So he's got his net on, but it's 95 degrees too. And it's humid. So it's like, do I really want to cover up with my, sleeping bag and sweat and almost die from the heat, but be more protected from the mosquitoes? Or do I got to have some airflow and let the mosquitoes come in and kind of do what they want? And
That sounds miserable. I don't know.
It was miserable.
well, we woke up extra early that morning and we were on our way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
after I broke down my tent and
Yeah.
And
Looked like he was
had beer for
looked like he was
breakfast.
glamping.
So I guess, before we go, I'd like to learn more about, how it was to adjust back to regular life. I mean, I want to hear your summiting moment and kind of just how that transitioned to like, now I'm back at home, and just kind of seeing what that was like for you. So we'll start with you, Cowboy.
Oh man, this is not a happy ending. You know what I mean?
You summited. That's amazing.
Yeah, I summit Katahdin. My girlfriend had supported me throughout my whole hike. And at the end of Katahdin, without getting into too much detail, she wanted to tell me, I don't know if I want you to come home. So, make a long story short, I went home anyway by Greyhound. That's where all my stuff is. I'm going home. You know what I mean? So I get home, and she basically told me, that she was like, maybe we should move on. And I called up my hiking buddy Zipper, and I was like, man, I just summited Katahdin. Now my life is over. My girlfriend doesn't want to be with me anymore, and I've been with her for 8 years, and she has supported me through my whole hike, everything. So it was a real shocker that she didn't want me to come home. But that's the long story. It's personal. I'm not going to get too much into it. But at the end of my hike, that's what happened to me. And so I had a Jeep Wrangler, and I packed it up with my portable sawmill and a few other belongings I wanted to bring, and I moved up to Wisconsin. And so here I am. This is life after the trail. Huh?
Like, I was just going to say, on this end of things, like, my husband is honestly the nicest, most like kind, big-hearted guy. He's super annoying though, but he is that guy. I didn't know any of this. Like, he just literally called me one day. He's like, by the way, Rob's moving here, or Cowboy's moving here in 2 days or whatever. And I'm like, okay, sure, we'll make it work. And, and the rest is history. It's been really obviously nice to have you here, but that's just crazy. So, but yeah, Turd, what about you?
So for me, we summited what, August 18th?
18th.
You guys actually, I want to put this in. You both summited on the same exact day during the same time as Garrett, 2 of Garrett's Tramily members as well.
Doc and Solo?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Doc and
We
Solo.
summited with them.
We like hiked with them and like stayed the night before with them.
They were way ahead of these guys, obviously.
Yeah.
Garrett's Tramily can say, do you want to just do a quick shout out to the guys and just say hi to all of them quick? I don't know.
Hey guys.
But Doc and Solo, because I've been following all of them, and
They were the front runners. Bam, bam, bam. They were just
on
go,
them.
go, go. Yep. Doc was like,
on a
no, you gotta do 20 miles a day.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, maybe. He was like, oh, maybe 25. It's just like, geez, these things.
Well,
guys.
And then we had 20, and then also Rhythm, who couldn't join us today.
Right.
But like, that was the family, the Tramily,
Iron Man.
that I was so, and Iron Man. Oh my gosh, of course, Iron Man. Like, that was the Tramily that I was so invested in. I'm like, I'm gonna like help them all. Like, I'm gonna buy them pizza whenever I can. Like, I'm gonna make sure everything's good with these guys. And so it was so funny because I met you guys at the halfway point, and it was like such a small world, it seemed like, because you guys summited the same day they did. But anyway, carry on. Sorry.
We met them in the 100-mile wilderness because we were hiking with Cushy, who had
Cushy
previously
Life, yeah.
Cushy Life, who had previously hiked with them. So we just like randomly met up with them in the 100-mile wilderness and was just kind of like flip flopping around, and then we summited them with them. Sorry, Trent, go
Were you
ahead.
guys with Mighty Blue? Was she still with Mighty Blue at the time?
No.
Go ahead.
No, you go. It's not my turn.
Well, this is how it is.
I've known Mighty Blue for like 4 or 5 years now, and we're actually friends. He was one of the guys that was going to Scotland with me and Sharktooth.
Yeah,
with Trigger.
We're gonna go to.
Oh, Trigger too. Oh yeah. Trigger umbrella. I love that.
Trigger.
He's the one that convinced me to get an umbrella. That's why I got an umbrella.
Yeah, and then Firefly. We were all going to hike the West Highland Way and then Hadrian's Wall. Like 19 days from now. But with the flights being canceled and everything, we couldn't go. But anyway, so I summited with Sharktooth and Doc and Solo, and it was a great day. Cushy,
Mooney And Runaway
Rooney,
Jim.
and Runaway Jim. I don't know. Yes. But yeah, so we got up there and we, it was really nice. We had a great day. It got a little overcast once we got on top, but
It rained a little bit, I think, for a little.
yeah, it sprinkled just
for a
barely.
little, yeah.
Yeah, but we had some great group photos.
Yes, we did. I saw some of those.
It was beautiful up there. We had a nice moment,
Yeah, me and Turt
nobody
cried
wanted to leave.
together.
Yeah.
For like a half an hour. Yeah. Just be like, what do we do?
Yeah, well, it was like, what do we do? And everybody was just kind
Yeah.
of like, well, do you think we should leave? Let's
Yeah.
not
So
yet.
I know the two of us. I know the two of us sat and cried for a while. Together.
And then we came home, and I came home back to North Carolina, and it was just kind of like back to ops normal. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been because my family situation, deploying and stuff, it was just kind of like get back into the routine and start taking care of things. And
Yeah.
I was retired, so I didn't have to go back to work anymore. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You were an emotional goodbye for me though, Turt. You're the hardest person to say goodbye to.
Aw.
Because I had just been with you for like 4 months?
Yeah.
For like
Yeah.
this ass to ass for 4 months. It was hard. It was hard. I was just like, I'm so ready to get away from this man, and then I was leaving you, and I was just like streaming tears. I was like, no, don't leave me.
Molly, you'll be okay.
Send you laundry. It's fine.
Yeah.
I can
Like,
do
who's gonna clean your
laundry. I'm
clothes?
gonna make it. Don't worry about me.
Well, like for us, like, so I was, honestly, there were so many times where I'm like so annoyed with Garrett because we were on a timeline towards the end there because I had Mexico booked. We were celebrating our 5-year anniversary being married, and he didn't make it. He was 1 week short. So he had to fly in, and we had to fly him back out for him to finish. So
I've been to Bangor 3 times.
yeah.
Oh shit, that's dope.
No, for real. Like, oh my God. I literally, like, we flew out to Mexico and he ate like a king, right? Because it was all inclusive. And I was like, man, you shouldn't. I'm like, I'm so scared that if you go back, you might just not want to do it. So we made sure to buy flights and everything because I wanted to make sure that he was gonna summit.
But it was hard to fly back.
It was very hard for both
I'll
of
never
us.
leave the trail again. If I do another long trail, I
Yeah.
will never leave and then come back to the long trail.
Like, we did
Yeah.
debate
Yeah.
a lot, like, do we want, because it was a friend's trip also, and we did debate a lot, like, do we want you to go to Mexico, with us? Like, I can just go without you, and you can just finish, and I'll be back, and whatever else. But anyway, do you want to talk about your summiting story?
Well, I got to the summit. That was it. No, but I remember on my way to the summit, because I had just got back from, being off for almost a month, 3 weeks. It was over 3 weeks I was
Yeah.
off. And I came back, I'm like, I didn't really, it's like, but it's like, no, I got to do this. There's only a little bit, left to go. So as I was summiting Katahdin, I actually ran into a couple hikers I hadn't seen since Virginia, and that was Teach. I don't know if you guys ever met Teach. And then the other one was Tailgater, who I've seen several times throughout the trail, from Station 19E all the way up, twice more after that, but in different states. And then at one point, she didn't see me, but I saw her. So as we were coming up, I was passing them. I was on a mission to get to the top of the mountain. And I wasn't using trek poles at the time either.
I didn't use trekking poles at all.
I didn't until
He
it was a
lost
long story.
his,
Long
but yeah.
story.
Long
Since
story.
Pennsylvania. I didn't use them since Pennsylvania. But the 3 weeks off, I should have brought trekking poles with me coming back because my legs were not used to that. Just after 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I thought I could climb Katahdin like it was not, but you know what? Katahdin was actually one of the toughest climbs on the trail was Katahdin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
It
sure.
was, if not the most toughest climb on the trail, especially coming back from that break. But coming up there and I seen these guys and I passed right by them because I was on a mission. And they're like, hey, Zipper. And I would turn around like, oh my gosh, are you serious? There's no way. I had no idea. And then we met for, we hung out for like 2 minutes before I was just back up, going to the top. And, it was like right on that, after you get to Katahdin, right after you make all this big climbs from the rocks, is when you follow that razor edge to the top and you kind of like go around the, it's more of a flat surface by that point.
The tablelands.
That's where I met her.
Yeah.
That's where I met them on that, that edge up, the rock edge. But then when I got up there, I was taking video too. I still gotta put all this online too. So before I break my phone or something, before I lose it. But when I see that sign, physically with my eyeballs, you know what I mean? Like when I see that, like this is what I've come all this way to do. I've come all this distance, and this is what I'm looking at right now. This is how it's gonna end. It's like right there. This is what it's all about. All the summit photos that I've ever seen, like, you know, like, man, I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to experience a summit photo like that ever. I'm never gonna. But then again, it becomes reality. It's like, man, you're really there right now. You're really just hundreds of yards away from this. And then it was such a bittersweet moment. I mean, I was crackling up, you know what I mean? And I'm sure you do know what I mean. But I mean, I didn't know how to proceed. It's like, do I want to just turn around, or, you know, like come back, you know, at a different time and finish it? Because, you know, I'm this far, and you know, I was crackling up, and I'm getting emotional now. But just seeing that sign, and it was a cold day, but it was beautiful. The skies were open, but it was so cold. The mountain was icy, full of snow. A very, very ice advisory for everyone climbing that day. And I didn't give a shoot about nothing, nothing at all. I just want to get to the sign right there. So I dropped everything, and I kept going. And when I got to that sign, it was so cold, but the sun on the sign, I just put my face and my hands on the sign. It was so warm. I just sat there. I just sat there, and I just like, wow, I feel so good. And then I started to cry a little bit. And I was the first thru hiker up there that morning, because we were up there by 8 o'clock in the morning. There were other people up there at the time though too, but they were day hikers. So they were up there taking pictures and like, hey, we did this and we did that. And they're like, what's going on? Why are you crying? And then like, well, I told them, like, well, I started in Georgia, you know, it's been a couple thousand miles. I'm like, wow, wait, you can do that? And people that you talk to on the trail, some of these people have no idea that they're standing at the end of a reverent trail, and they have no idea just how, you know, important
spiritual,
it
like
is.
it's all
Yeah,
this,
to get
it's
there.
all of us. Yeah.
Right. And then you know, that was it for me. I think I blacked out a lot of the time.
Because of the drinking.
No.
The beer.
I didn't even bring a beer with me to the top. I should have, because two of the people that I was hiking with, or they brought. But
wait, we gotta meet her now. I'm sorry.
Hi, Colton.
Cute.
Hi, Colton.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, I'm gonna wear them, okay? Okay, go play, and I'll be down.
Wait, Chart, what's your son's name?
Colton.
Colton?
Yeah.
Oh, he probably
Nice
can't
to
hear
meet
me,
you,
but
Colton.
where's that big hat that he was wearing on the summit?
It was an R2D2.
No, wait, hold on. You should tell him that I saw him make
The
the
Turd Ferguson
Filipinos.
hat.
He's so cute. You have the cutest kids.
Thank
He's
you.
very cute.
Yeah, he's got
I
an
got to meet
R2D2
them.
hat, and it lights up.
Oh, man, you really are a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, Sharktooth actually met my family in
I did.
Damascus.
Yeah, they're awesome. I
Oh,
love them.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, I didn't mean to like.
No, that's
No,
okay.
no.
It's okay. Remember, it's pre-recorded. We can edit whatever.
Okay.
But I do kind of want to use that. He's too cute.
Yeah. In a nutshell, monumental. But you guys.
That's fine. That's fine.
So, would you guys do it again?
Can I just add? Can I just add?
Yeah,
something
go.
about
Oh my
coming
God,
home?
go ahead.
Okay,
Chuck.
just personally for me, I think the hardest thing about going home was that like I didn't realize. Well, like I did. Like I did this really cool thing, and I guess I didn't realize like how much I changed and how much like I did in these 5 months. And then I came back to Vermont, and everything was the same. Like all my friends were the same jobs, like all the same apartment. You know, like everything was exactly the same. And I was just like, am I in a time portal? Like why I'm like why is my life like so impacted in everybody, you know, like that was it was so hard for me to like understand.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing for me to come back and then also just be like not hiking every day. Like I would try and hike as much, but then I could like feel every time I went hiking like getting weaker and weaker.
Can I ask
like
you, Sharktooth, was it hard to adjust back like mentally and emotionally? Like Garrett did have a little bit of like, hey, I really miss the trail. Like every day was really hard. Like it wasn't right away. I would say it was a couple months, and Garrett's like, I really miss the trail. Like it was really hard for him.
It did also take me a few months to get kind of to that post trail like depression, I guess, for lack of a better word, where I'm just like, I'm not on trail. It just like, it took a couple months, but like really sucked. And I thought because in those few months I was like doing so well, I was like, I got this, I'm going to be great. And then those 2 months hit and I was just like, bam, like I want to be back on. I'm so sad. But like what I did, I mean, like I talked to THRU and we planned to go to Scotland and do some hiking. So that's kind of like what kept me motivated.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's awesome.
it was brutal.
I want to go back and do New England.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care to do the rest of the trail, but I do want to go back to New England and go back north.
That's the most beautiful part of the trail.
I want to hit it during the fall colors.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Fall's beautiful.
I would do that. But you know, Molly, you had the best reunion though coming down Katahdin, because when you saw your
dad,
you booked it, and you got to hike in Vermont with him. Yes. Yeah, that was awesome.
I like ran. My dad picked me up in Baxter Park after Katahdin, and the second I saw him, I just like dropped my pack and I just like ran to him and just like hugged him and cried for so long. Yeah, I mean it's awesome because like I was really emotional. I also like knew how proud my dad was, like he mentioned earlier. Like it was just like I was so happy that I had finished. I was sad that I was off the trail. I was like so stoked to see my dad. I know how proud he was, and it was just like
That's
so emotions at
sweet.
once.
Yeah.
And then my dad drove up to meet me and drove me back home that night, and it was like an 8-hour drive, and I just cried the whole drive. My dad's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I just like dealing with a lot of emotions right now."
Ours was not like that at all. I was like, "Can you take out the garbage already?" Like,
yeah, as I'm bawling.
I'm just kidding. Ours was pretty emotional too, but it wasn't really after he summited. It was right when I picked him up for obviously to go to Mexico. So we kind of had like a different kind of timeline. But emotionally, I was. What are you looking at?
Oh, I'm just thinking.
So I think it was more so like right before then, but it was emotional, definitely. We're all really proud of him.
Yeah. Congratulations. He did something awesome.
You guys did awesome.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine.
I don't know about you guys, but like it's strange. I feel uncomfortable like when people are like, "Oh, like what were you doing for 5 months?" I was like, "Oh, I like went on a long trip." Like, what do you mean? I was like, I did the 18. They're like, you did the 18? And I was just like, yeah, I did the 18. Like,
What makes it uncomfortable?
It's, I don't know. It's not uncomfortable. It's more like I don't want to feel like I'm bragging.
Yeah.
You know, because honestly, like in my mind, when I was on the trail, like I was a hero to myself. I was badass. I had more confidence than I ever had. Because like you said, I could eat like 10 cheeseburgers and be like, I'm not gonna get a pound, and, like, and then keep walking. So it was.
But it also, now you know you can do a lot of things that you know. Now you understand.
Definitely.
Like,
It definitely builds self-confidence for sure. That the AT definitely builds your self-confidence. You things don't seem as impossible as they used to when you see what you accomplished. You know,
I completely agree.
Does build
I completely agree with that. Like, I had like no confidence before I started, and now I just like tell everyone how awesome I am on a daily basis. So.
I remember looking up on everyone that that had completed a thru hike all the way there. I'm like, wow, you did it. You graduated. You did this. You know.
Yeah.
And now having done it myself, it's like, it doesn't seem, maybe I'm kind of minimizing it, but it doesn't seem that like spectacular, but only because, you're not trying to be boastful or anything, but also just like, that was kind of like just a nice journey, a good, that time of your life where you could just learn a lot and experience a lot, and you don't give much credit to it, where credit is due. I just feel like I kind of like minimize it more than I did before I,
because when you first started, when you first started, you go like to Neil's Gap, and they give you your first shakedown on the trail and stuff, and they're like, I thru-hiked all the way. So you're just starting the trail, and you hold these people up in reverence. You're just like, you did the whole thing. Holy crap! I only got the Neil's Gap. You know what I'm saying? Like I got all these thousands. So you really hold those thru-hikers up there. But when you actually become a thru-hiker yourself, it's like you said, you almost minimize it. It's not as what I'm saying, as it was. You know what I'm saying, when you're first starting.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's almost kind of like if I can do it, anybody can do it. So it's not like that big of a thing, but it is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, again, I can speak to it on this end because I didn't hike, But like I look at it and I'm like, that is so impressive. Like so many people like come up to me, even just like a secondary person who experienced this, and it's like, how is that possible? Like kind of like you guys are all legends and gods and goddesses. It's incredibly insane. And yeah, so I think just right before we go, I just wanted to ask like a little bit about like the physical. So how much weight did you guys actually lose? Garrett lost a lot. I guess how many pounds did you lose?
60 pounds.
60 pounds. Shark Tooth?
So I lost 15 pounds. but I will say, so like I weighed myself in Hot Springs, North Carolina, and that's when I realized I had lost 15 pounds from the start in Georgia. And I stayed at that weight the whole way through. But I will say I probably lost more because I was also gaining muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat. So
and
I
I think
probably
you're
lost a little
probably
bit more.
tiny to begin with, because Garrett.
I am 5'1". I'm 120 pounds. So I'm very small.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I'll let you go ahead, Nate.
Oh, I'm just right at 6 foot tall,
Yep.
and I lost 52 pounds.
Wow.
And I ate anything I wanted.
Gas station
My
slushies.
gas station slushies. Sometimes I would get a couple.
Is your weakness?
If I went into town, I would get a old fashioned lemon drop martini and a mojito. Those were like, I love citrus. I didn't drink beer that much. Maybe a couple.
Yeah, you didn't really like beer.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, if there was Trail Magic, I would like grab a beer and give it
for
to
me.
Molly.
Yeah.
For her. But
you're like my man. There you go.
My boy. Yeah. I would like come down. He'd be like, "You missed Trail Magic. Look at this beer we got for you." And it's like, best day ever.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel.
But yeah, I lost 52 pounds and I've gained all 52 pounds back. So it's time to start walking again.
Yeah.
I've only put on 15 pounds since I got back. So
Wait, how much weight did you actually lose total?
altogether?
Yeah.
45.
Oh, I thought it was like 60 something.
No, it's 45 that I kept off.
Oh, no,
I
no.
lost 60 when I got.
Oh, yeah.
When I gained 15 that was the back.
Yeah.
I'm still wearing the same pants that I changed into, but so I was losing so much weight throughout the trail. I had to get pants that are smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
actually another thing.
That was a huge investment. Every time I go to a town, it's like, crap, I got to get a new pair of pants.
All throughout, like, it would literally be, like, he was just dropping weight, and he wouldn't have, like, any more belt loops.
But I'm still fitting in the same pants that I came back with. They're getting a little tighter now.
Yeah.
They are, but...
What's up? Yeah.
Yeah. No, me and Turd both had to buy shorts.
Yes.
Ours were too big.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania,
Front Royal.
Well, yeah.
Right outside of the Shenandoahs. So, well, that's when I bought new shorts. I think that's when you did too.
I did too. Yeah, I bought those green ones because in the green shirt. Remember, it was a medium.
Yes. Yeah. He would tell me every day. He'd be like, "Shark Tooth, guess what?" I'd be like, "Well," he's like, "I've been into a medium."
Yeah, me too. That's how it was with us. What about you, Carl? How much weight did you lose overall? I think you guys are pretty similar.
Yeah, me and Garrett lost about the same amount of weight. When I started the trail, I was 240 pounds, and when I was at home, I tried different techniques to try to lose weight and all that kind of stuff. But I started out at 240, and when I got home after I stomach Todd and I got home and I stepped on the scale in the bathroom, I was 185. So I lost 55 pounds on the trail.
Wow.
And I didn't like it. I thought I was too skinny. With the big bushy beard and then the skinny lanky body. No, I didn't like it at all. I like to be around 210 is what I like to be around.
Who needs the South Beach diet where you can just go on the AT and eat anything you want and you're just
That's right.
Dude, I had
those diet plans you get on the AT.
Yeah, I had people ask me, like, how did you lose so much weight? It was like, I ate Snickers bars every day for 5 months. That's how I lost it.
I just walked a lot is what I did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had everything I wanted. 10 cheeseburgers.
Oh yeah, I also had the munchie. I would eat my snacks in like a day, and I get the munchies, and then I'd get hangry and be like, "Turd, we have to go to town. I need more snacks." So I perfected what I call snack blazing, where I went into town every other day.
It got
Just to get
really,
snacks.
it became a point of contention.
And it's also good because
New York was bad. New York was bad. It was
Yeah.
every day. It was
I
every
was
day I'd
like,
hitch into town.
Yeah, I was like, we need to stop going into town all the time.
Yeah, you had an intervention. You're like, I'm gonna take all this stuff from you.
Well, yeah, because your diet became like it was
Reese's
hurting
and-
you.
Yeah, it was.
You were having a hard time.
Connecticut, yeah.
I liked it myself when I was doing that personally because it's like, oh, well, I don't got to carry even 2 days of food now. I can just eat what I want, not carry any food till the next town, and then
Yeah.
like in whatever. It's like it saves you a lot of weight when you don't have to carry all that.
Did we
Yeah,
do that?
we were-
Did we not pack food for New Jersey?
Well,
New Jersey, we didn't go grocery shopping for a while, right?
Yeah, well, what we were doing, we were eating all our food at night.
Because we were so high. Yeah. Turds, you're gonna have to excuse him. He's a noob. He just started a year ago.
I'm fine right now.
But yeah, we would get the munchies and eat all of our food in
Yeah.
12 hours, and then I'd get angry. I'd get hangry and become a bitch. We have to go hitchhiking to town and be like, all right, whatever makes you shut the fuck up right now is fine.
And I'll be the first one. It's always the worst at night when you're both ready to go to bed and you're just
Yeah. And you're like in your tent and you can't fall asleep and you're like, I just want to eat snacks.
Yeah, but the thing
Yeah,
is,
you
like,
ever irritate
my
you-
tent, you can hear those wrappers opening up.
I was gonna
It's like,
ask
what are you
you.
opening?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
brings up a whole new can of worms because then all of a sudden, if you don't take care of it, you get mice eating through your tent and stuff for the wrappers. And
Oh, that never happened to me. Although I did, I had
Bob?
a,
I was like, what?
yeah,
I had a hot chocolate wrapper outside of my tent and it was shredded the next day.
Remember
but
my
otherwise-
shorts?
Yeah, mouse ate through the crotch of your shorts.
Yeah, a mouse I hung them. They were soaked,
Virginia.
and I hung them on the side of the shelter. And I woke up the next morning, and a mouse had ate through the crotch of them to get
Yeah.
into the pocket. And
Yes,
I don't
they
even
do
think there was anything in it.
yes. I think one morning they ate through Cowboy's tent to get at a Snickers wrappers that were sitting.
Yeah, it was down. It was
That
down at that
sucks.
site it was down at that place in Pennsylvania we were talking about earlier with the rope
Yeah, with the
swing.
rope swing.
Where it had the waterfalls. It was
Oh
right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's-
Yep.
Yeah, they ate right through my tent because I left all the wrappers on the floor of my tent. I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, who cares? I was snacking away, but yeah, ate right through my.
I was that's lucky. I slept with my food almost every night.
I did too.
Except for,
I did too.
except for the
too.
Shenandoahs.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
After
I
you
did
see
not.
all those bears,
Not the
you know,
Shenandoahs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
too many
then
bears.
at that time, so the whole 5 months I hung 3 bear bags on my own. Over the time, I just took a carabiner and gave it to Turd and was like, "Can I just hang my bag on yours?"
That's good.
He's like, I guess. And then finally, I think you're like, you have to do it yourself. And then I just ended up sleeping with it.
Yeah,
from
then
there
you're
on.
just,
Then I
yeah,
was
and
too
then-
lazy.
yeah. At that point, once we got past really New Jersey, it was just kind of screw it. Just
Yeah.
And that's when
Right.
at night you would hear I would hear her tent. You'd hear those wrappers. I would
The
open up my
water-
vestibule and
the
be like,
water.
"Yo, throw me a Sour Patch."
The water, it would be it'd be 3 in and I'd wake up and chug water from my Sawyer so you can hear it. And I would hear Turd be like, "Shut up, Shark Tooth."
Yeah, the wrapper that I was known by was the family pack of M&Ms that had the little
Yes.
Ziploc.
Yes,
You'd always
yes.
hear that thing around, like Ron's in his M&Ms again, man. Ron's,
Yeah.
Cowboy was in his M&Ms again. That was my. It did make a lot of noise though. Like at night, everybody's sleeping. You're just like, damn, I want some of those M&Ms, some peanut M&Ms so bad. You get in there, it's rattling by with other people, but.
Oh yeah,
I was packing a lot of potato chips there for a while.
you were,
Wow.
yeah. Cheetos.
Cheetos. Oh,
You went,
yeah.
you went through a
Yeah.
Cheetos phase, yeah.
Oh yeah, and then cereal,
You did that for New Jersey,
the Fruit Loops.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, the Fruit Loops. We were hiking with this 50-year-old woman, and Turd got hurt one day, and all of us were in a shelter for a little bit longer, and this woman was just like, "Can I have some Fruit Loops?" And Turd goes, only if you'll get high with us. And she's like, what the fuck? Why is that a deal? Why is it some kind of deal? That was funny.
So she didn't. So I just ate all my Fruit Loops
See,
in front of her.
He did in front of both. I didn't even get any. I was like, "Can I have some?" He's like, "Nope."
I'm learning so much about you, Nate. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, where were you guys on the trail we were hiking? Jeez.
What'd you say?
I said I'm learning so much about you.
Oh, I told you I'm not nice.
Yeah, hike with them for 4 months. So learn a lot about them.
I can get a little cranky.
Yeah, so can I though.
Oh, she doesn't know nothing about that.
Garrett is a curmudgeon. Like, literally, if you want to, Garrett can write a book. Like, he's a crabby old man.
I'm angsty. I just like never grew out of my angsty teenage phase. I'm just like almost 30 and still angsty. So
Thank you.
Turd dealt with me, so I dealt with Turd. It was a win-win, lose-lose, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, we made it though.
We did, and we still talk. We're still friends somehow.
Yep.
There was a few times we wanted to push each other off some mountains. It'd be like, it'd be so easy just to be like, "Well, what happened? You fell."
Oh man.
What?
But we got through it. We got through it. Yeah.
I think it's like that in marriage too.
Yep, it definitely is. Rob knows, but
I'll plead the fifth.
Yeah,
Go
never
ahead.
been
What's next
married.
honestly, that was all I had. I mean, I really just wanted to know, like, what's your next adventure? I think you guys were talking about it already, Turd and Sharktooth. You guys were going to go somewhere and hike. I know my husband's been.
We were.
He definitely wants to do the Hayduke Trail still.
Or you know,
like other
something else, but I don't. Maybe for the next adventure, it's not going to be like a 6-month adventure. It'll be like a 2 or 3 month adventure.
Yeah.
Then it could be a 6-month adventure. You know, a year or two after that.
Yeah.
But Cowboy and I are thinking about doing we're gonna kayak the Mississippi River from the.
Nice.
Canoe.
That's awesome.
Not kayak. Canoe.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Mississippi from where the source is down to the Gulf. You know, and I think after carrying a pack, you know, a 40-pound pack for 2,000 something miles from an next big adventure, I think being in a boat and paddling sounds a hell of a lot better. Like, even though I want to do another long trail, I've already did a long trail. I've already did a through hike. You know, so being on the water and having a new experience like that. They talk about river angels, just like they do trail angels. You know, you put your tents up in different spots, same way you do on the AT. So it was something that I've researched into recently, and me and Zippers also talked about maybe after the Mississippi, do one of these big. You remember in Harper's Ferry where all those bikers were, like the bicyclists. They talk about camping and the bike trips and stuff like that. It's like instead of running out to try to get the Triple Crown and hitting all these long trails, why not have something that's just as awesome, another life experience? You know what I'm saying? That's very, very cool. So as much as I love hiking, I also don't want to limit myself to only that until I got the Triple Crown, because that is the ultimate goal. Once you do one through hike, it's like, I want the Triple Crown. You've already hit Katahdin, and the next biggest thing is to have the Triple Crown. You know what I mean? I do want that, but I want another amazing adventure. And I think canoeing down the Mississippi would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
Yep.
Since we were going to do England and that got canceled because of the corona.
Scotland.
England and Scotland.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's the same island, but they are different.
Yeah. I think now probably my next one is going to be the Sheltowee Trace Trail in Kentucky. It's about 330 miles long. And it's because I'm moving to Kentucky sometime before December. So I think that's probably just because of location. I think that's going to be my next hike, and it'll only be like a few weeks.
Yeah. Well, my whole plan was to go to Scotland this year, and then 2021 I was going to hike the Pacific Crest Trail.
Yep.
I still want to hike it. I don't necessarily know if I want to do it next year, just because there's so many people who can't go because of the coronavirus. That's just going to be so overpopulated that it might be too bad. If this all ends soon, hopefully, then I would like to go to Colorado and hike the Colorado Trail.
Nice.
It's about 500 miles, so it
The
takes a little over
CDT
a
next
month.
year might not be too bad.
I don't have any interest in doing the CBT, honestly.
But that's a choose your own adventure trail too.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like,
the whole thing. Do you want to do all this other stuff? You can do all kinds of stuff on that trail.
I'm not good at finding where I am. Yeah, navigation. So I just think unless I went with somebody, then I don't think I would trust myself to do it without like really getting lost.
I just think the Wind River Valley and like the Colorado area, like the CDT portion, would be just phenomenal. And even like the Gila River Gorge or whatever, down in the south. My brother-in-law did that, and it just looks phenomenal. So I'm kind of like, I'm open to it. I don't mind road walking.
Yeah,
I don't either. It's just.
But when that Colorado Trail is, that's rim to rim too in that section, isn't it?
I'm not for sure. I haven't done enough research on the CDT.
Okay.
Because the PCT,
the Colorado Trail is Durango to Denver.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was thinking the other trail, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff on the PCT. I almost did the PCT instead of the AT.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the PCT is awesome.
Yeah, but my timeline worked out great for the AT, so I just did the AT this past year.
Yeah. Definitely going to do the PCT one day for sure.
Yeah, every AT through hiker wants to do the PCT.
Yeah. I want to do it for the views because I know the Sierra is just going to be way more beautiful than anything on the AT.
Yes.
My friend did it this 2019, actually pretty much the same time as on the AT, and her pictures are just like breathtaking.
Yeah, just the
surreal.
Sierras. Oh my gosh, the Sierras.
Like, just like even her like cell phone pictures. I'm just like, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, and being down in the desert, I don't know if any of you guys have hiked in the desert. I've been like in the desert of Iraq and Afghanistan, but it gets so dark at night. The sky,
and it gets cold at night too.
It does. It
gets really cold at night.
The stars are awesome.
Yeah,
the stars are just beautiful.
Yeah, I did like a few days in Joshua Tree a couple years ago. 4 days.
PCT, yeah.
I was just in the Joshua Tree National Park for a few days, hiking around. But yeah, it was beautiful. It's only desert hiking I've done.
Well, I mean, I just wanted you guys to hang out. I have nothing else. I feel like we got all the footage that we needed to get for the podcast.
I'm just glad I was able to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I want to get to know both of you guys.
Yeah, it was great meeting you. I told Mom, I texted her last night. I was like, man, that was fun. That was so cool. We all got to see each other and like, say hi
and it's different talking to like your friends about the trail, but then like talking about like with fellow hikers, it's just like so different. Because it's just like, I know you all know what I mean. I know you understand. You had the same feelings. Yes, it's awesome.
I felt great nostalgia since we've been on this video chat.
Same. Yeah.
Hey,
if everybody stays in contact with everybody, you never know what could happen in the future. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we might all wind up doing an adventure together. You know, maybe not the PCT, but maybe who's to say that 3 years down the road we don't all wind up on the same year on the CDT. You know, so you just never know. You know what I mean?
Trail community small. Trail community small. We probably will.
You have to get a Facebook first, and
I'm never gonna have Facebook.
Too
I don't want to
mainstream.
be part of it. Yeah. I just want to be a part of all the social media. I don't want to be a part of social media. I don't like all the negativity that comes from being on social media and all the nasty things. You know, I just don't. I don't want. I'd rather not even have that in my life. That way, if you never had it, you don't know what you're missing. You know what I mean? Because there's some things that you really like about it. But if you never had the good, you know what I mean? Then you don't know what you're missing, so it's not a problem. So I like to keep my life
too, and I didn't start getting a social, Facebook until I was in Virginia.
Yeah.
But now I get to hang out and see what everyone's doing. Like Nate, you're my friend on Facebook.
Yeah.
I got other friends that they're already doing different things already. So it's really cool to see these or what these people are doing after their trail life or what they're doing now, and to keep up with current events too. I mean.
I mean, I can tell you, Garrett is absolutely anti-social media, never wanted to have one. I mean, we're very opposites, as you can tell. He never wanted to have one until he got on the trail. And he was,
that's all I do is